Welcome to techbrothersIT. In this video, we are going to learn how to create RDDs in PySpark. Now, what is the RDD? RDD is a basic building block in PySpark. It is a collection of data that is spread across many computers and cannot be changed once created. It supports fault tolerance and parallel data processing across a cluster. Now I have a complete video on RDDs and a comparison against the data frame, so you can watch in the playlist. So here is the very first example in which we are creating RDD. You can use this function called parallelize and it will create the RDD. So first of all, we have to have some data. So I have this numbers array here. You can see the items 10, 20, 30 and 40, 50. And now what we are going to do here, we are going to create RDD. And the name of the RDD is going to be RDD underscore parallel, and then we say spark context dot parallelize, and then provide the number here. And then finally what we are doing now, we are collecting all the data from different nodes by using collect and then printing that data. So let's go ahead and execute this part and see how exactly our RDD look like. So we started a Spark session and then we created the RDD. And here you can see that this is our RDD that we just printed out. In second example, we are going to use the text file function to load the data line by line from the file. So here I have uploaded a file and I call this file test file. If you take a look here, we have some data that has a header column here, then we have ID 1 and 2 and 3. So this is a simple CSV file that I just loaded in the Databricks. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the text file function to read all that. So it is common to use in production for logs, CSV files and etc. So reads each line of each file as a separate elements in the RDD. And if the file has 100 lines, the RDD will have 100 elements. So that's about the text file function. So here I'm saying that the variable local file path, and it is the path I have provided for my file that is in the Databricks. Now what we are going to do, we are going to say try, and then we have exception in case error happen. But in the try, what we are doing, saying we are creating a new RDD called RDD underscore text file, and say spark context dot text file, and then provide the path of that file. So once we do that, it's going to create us a new RDD called RDD underscore text file. And then we are just simply printing. So I can take 5 records from here, so I use the take function here and say RDD dot take 5 and then printing that. So let's execute and take a look here. Okay, here is our RDD ready, and we can see that we have ID, first name, last name, and salary. As I said that it is going to take each record as one element, you can see right there. So it put this whole first row as one element here, and then we have second element right here. So that's our second record. So this is how it will keep putting all the elements in this RDD. Here, and we use the function called the text file. So in the definition, you can see that it reads each line of each file as a separate element in the RDD. If the file has 100 lines, the RDD will have 100 elements. That's exactly, you saw that it has in our case it has 4 records, so there are 4 elements now. And each line it took as one element. Now let's go to another example where we will be using different function called the whole text files. So this function will be used to create an RDD as well, and it returns a file name, context, and tuples. So that's how it is going to be. Now reads each entire file as a single string, and the entire contents of the file. So it is going to read the whole file as a single string, and then each file becomes a one record, even it has 100 lines. So I'm going to show you that as well. So same file, nothing different, and then we have this variable created to provide the path for that file. Then here I'm trying inside this to create a new RDD. So RDD whole file spark context and then whole text files, and that's the function I'm using to read the file data into the RDD or create the RDD. And here is the path in which we have saved the file path. Now once we are done, we are taken one, we can take 2. I don't have whole lot records, actually there is only 1 record, right? So if we would have 2 files read, then we will be reading taken 2 records, because each file is become 1 record here. So once we execute, you are going to see the difference. Yeah, so here is our output, and you can see that it has the file name first. So this element become a file name, and then whole this if you see, it's starting from here and ending right here. So entire data comes as a single element or a single string right here. So this is how if even your file is big, this is what it is going to do. It is going to have your file name, and then on the next part will be having the entire contents of your file. And if you will have two files, then it will be second file and the entire contents of that file. So you see the difference. If I run this together, you will see it actually more clear. So I'm going to do it. So you will see the difference between two functions, a text file and a whole text file. So here you can see the difference. So this is a RDD text file, right? So it is coming, and each one is a separate element. Each line is become a separate element right here. You can see right there. Now in this case, when we are doing the whole text files, then we have file name, and then the entire rows become single record right here, single string here. So that's how it is. And depend upon your situation, maybe you will want to read them in a different each line in a single elements, or maybe you want to read as an entire string and then perform some actions. And you also might need the file names, so you will be using the whole text files. So now let's go to the next example, where we will be using we will create an empty RDD. So in case you need to create the empty RDD, that's very easy. So you will say empty underscore RDD, that's the name of RDD I gave. So you will say spark context, and then you say empty RDD. So that's the function you will be using, and then you will say name of the RDD, empty RDD dot collect, and then print. So this is not going to print anything really because it is empty, but you can create the empty RDD, so in case you need in some scenario. Now let's go to the next example, where we will create an empty RDD with the partitions. So we want to tell how many partitions we would like to create. Here you see that I'm telling you, hey, I would like to create the RDD with the 3 partitions. We will use the function parallelize here. So here empty partitioned, that's our new RDD name, and spark context dot parallelize, and then you say this square parenthesis, then you say number of partition, and that's where it will be creating your RDD with the 3 partitions. And then finally I'm printing out just saying, hey, empty partition, that's my RDD, get the number of partitions. So it's going to give me the partitions my RDD has. So now if I will go back here and see, there are 3 partitions for this RDD, empty partitioned. So that's RDD has only 3 partition as we have provided here. Here in this example, what we are doing, we are setting a custom partitions, and here is the name of RDD underscore partitioned equal to spark context parallelize, and then what we are doing, we are using this function to create our new RDD. And here is my data that I am providing for this RDD, and I'm telling, hey, guess what, just divide this entire data into 2 partitions, and then finally I'm printing the number of partitions for this RDD. So let's go ahead and take a look, and we will see this our RDD has 2 partition, as we have told, hey, create my RDD with the 2 partitions. So you can change accordingly. If you want to have a more or less partition, you can always put it here and right after your data, and that will create the RDD with the specific partition that you have provided. Now let's do some bonus here. And what is bonus point? I'm reading a CSV file into data frame and then converting to the RDD. That's possible as well, and you can do it here. So here I'm saying df data frame spark.read option header is equal to true. So read my CSV file from where a local file path, and we have already know that what is local file path here, and we have given this right here. So we know that this is my file which has this is header and 3 records are there. So I'm reading this file into data frame now, and then once the file is loaded into the data frame, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the df.show and show you all the records from the data frame, and then I'm going to convert this from the data frame to the RDD. So here I'm saying create a new RDD from df. So that's I'm using it here, just the name of that new RDD, and here I'm saying df data frame dot RDD. So it's going to convert my data frame into the RDD by using the RDD function. So once our RDD is ready, what we are going to do, we are going to use this print statement to see the data in there, and we use the take 3, so it's going to take 3 records from there. So you can put more, we don't have much, I'm going to go ahead 5 anyways, so we have maybe have the header and then other records as well. So let's execute that, and now we will see it's going to read our CSV file, then it's going to give us the data frame, and then we will convert that data frame to the RDD. So here it is. So you can see that this is my data frame with ID, first name, last name, salary, and the 3 records here, and then we converted that data frame to the RDD right here. So you can see that now it has a row, and that comes with the very first row is of ID1, first name, last name. So this is our first record, that is a row, first row, then we have second row, and then we have a third row. So this is how you will be converting your data frame to the RDD if you need to, by just simply saying that df data frame.rdd and save into the RDD name. So I thank you very much for watching this video. I will put this script in the description so you can use and experiment. I will see you guys in the next video.